Hare Krishna. Today we'll be discussing Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 6, chapter 4, text 41. Yoga sanyasta karmanam gnana sanchinna samshayam atmavantam na karmani nibadhnanti dhananjaya. So Krishna says, one has to renounce the fruits of action by engaging them in yoga. Yoga means bhakti yoga. So karmanam sanyasta yoga. Sanyasta means give up. Sannyasa means renounced order of life, isn't it? So sanyasta means giving up the fruits of action for the purpose of devotional service. So Krishna mentions yoga, Prabhupada mentions yoga translates as devotional service in karma yoga. So once one who has renounced the fruits of action for Krishna in karma yoga and whose doubts are destroyed by transcendental knowledge, gnana sanchinna samshayam. His samshaya is destroyed by transcendental knowledge, because by engaging the fruits of our activities for the pleasure of Krishna, we get transcendental knowledge. The knowledge is revealed in the heart. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Asu Vairagyam Gnanam Chayadahaitukam. By engaging in causeless devotional service to Vasudeva, Krishna, it will generate very soon Gnanam and Vairagyam, and thereby Gnana Sanchinna Samshayam. That Gnana destroys all doubts. And in this way, Atmavantam, one who is situated in the self. Atmavantam means acting on the platform of spirit soul, not the body. Acting on the platform of spirit soul means acting in relation with Krishna. In this way, one who acts, na karmani nibadhananti dhananjaya. For that person, his activities will not bind him, O Dhananjaya, O Arjuna. Otherwise, if you do activities not for Atmavantam, if you do for Dehavantam, Shariravantam, for the pleasure of your body, for your own self-satisfaction, those actions will have reactions. So, here the focus is that our doubts have to be eradicated. This chapter is about transcendental knowledge. How our doubts will be eradicated only by transcendental knowledge. And the other point here to understand is that sometimes people mistake that taking sannyasa is giving up our duties altogether. Bhagavad Gita does not say renunciation of work. Bhagavad Gita says renunciation in work. That is why Krishna is saying in the third line, you do karmani, but act in a way that they won't bind you, nibadhananti. Krishna does not say give up work altogether. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, he did not recommend giving up work altogether when Ramananda Rai suggested, give up all the work and take sannyasa. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, that is external. People in this age need a method, instant method to connect themselves to Krishna without having to go through process of renunciation. And that he recommended the process of bhakti, starting with hearing about Krishna. Gnane prayasamudapasya namanta eva जीवन्ति षण्मुखरितां भवदीय वार्तां स्थाने स्थिताः श्रुतिगतां तनुवान् मनोभिर् ये प्रायसो जितजितोऽप्यसितैस्त्रिलोक्याम्. So one has to engage in hearing about Krishna, which develops transcendental knowledge. So here, what we need to understand, sometimes people, even in spirituality, doubts can creep in. One devotee was saying that he had been trying to preach to one material friend of his who was quite an atheist. And so this material friend was never hearing his messages. And he would present so many arguments against God consciousness, Krishna consciousness. So one time, this material friend happened to visit the temple along with other people by obligation. So anyway, he visited and he wanted to check in on his friend who joined the temple. So he called and he was coming. This friend was coming. He was limping a little bit with, these crutches. And then he asked what happened. Nothing. I was walking the other day within the temple compound and I tripped and fell on a rock, and that unfortunately fractured my bone. So I have to be on this casting. So that is why I'm like this. And then he passed a remark, oh, see, your God even cannot protect you from even falling down and getting fractured. Even though you are within God's temple, in his own house, he cannot even protect you. Then why I should take Krishna consciousness? So like that. So people, they think that taking Krishna consciousness means now God has to treat you like a first class passenger. Everything served at your desk, all comforts, no distress. So this is a very important thing we need to understand. Otherwise, doubts will creep in spiritual life. When we take to Krishna consciousness, and when we are at the receiving end, when so many tribulations start to happen to us, we start to doubt, have I taken the right path? You see, in the life of Srila Prabhupada, he was once recounting an incident. He was all alone working on his magazine, Back to Godhead magazine. No support, no resources, no money. And he was doing all the work, writing, compiling, editing, proofreading, visiting the press, taking loans, or trying to raise funds in the hot sun, going door to door. And he was distributing the books even in the tea stalls in Delhi. And one time a bull came and hit him so hard and he fell down, almost losing consciousness. And he was thinking, what is this? Of course, he was a pure devotee of the Lord. But you can see that even great devotees sometimes get hit with this kind of distress. The Pandavas, they were stripped of everything. Their kingdom, their money, their wealth, their possessions, including their wife. They were humiliated, not just stripped of something. They were humiliated. Extreme misery. They were pure devotees of the Lord. Again, Prabhupada himself, he gave up everything and he started his journey on that Jaladuta, and he got severe heart attacks, seasickness. Even a small niggle we cannot undergo, and we become so distressed. And Prabhupada was going to a land, no man's land, nobody to care him, nobody, nothing to survive on, either food or money, nothing he had. But he had a lot of faith. Still, he was undergoing distress. So one might get doubts, if especially one is a neophyte. Oh, why I have taken to Krishna consciousness? Am I taking really the right path? So what we need to understand is that the Krishna consciousness is a process, is a beautiful process of transformation from a spiritually ugly personality that we have become to a spiritually beautiful personality that we have to become. So you see in the nature the transformation of caterpillar to a butterfly. So it undergoes tremendous changes. The caterpillar, before it goes through the stage of becoming a butterfly, it has to go through a series of so many shedding of its skin to allow a larger skin to grow in. And when the butterfly is coming out, it has to come out through that viscous, thick skin, very, very painful, unimaginably painful. It has to endure that process. And the end product is a beautiful butterfly. Even they say that the diamond, how this diamond is created, it has to undergo so much stress before the diamond. It is just a piece of carbon, and under high pressure and heat, carbon becomes a shiny diamond. So why we are made to undergo so many pressures, so much of distress, so much of transformation, so much of change? It is because Krishna wants us to become like a diamond. Krishna wants us to become like a beautiful butterfly. So we just have to have faith and go through that process. We'll be in safe hands. So there was this disciple of a guru who was given a very great task. The guru said, "The king in our kingdom is also my disciple. He needs our help in these pressing times. He needs us to go venture into a place only we can go. And I need your help." He asked all his disciples, "Can you go get that treasure for the king? It's a treacherous journey, but it's a service that I want you to do." And so they all set out, and only one disciple had complete faith. So in that journey, they went through the path given by the spiritual master. And they faced a lot of obstacles. Every obstacle, some disciples left. This is who will know that there is treasure or not? Why I have to risk my life? And only one disciple in the end remained. The last step, he has come to a crossroads. There are several paths, and he's in full confusion. Oh my God, what am I going to do now? And on top of it, it is snowing heavily, so heavily that he was thinking, oh my God, what have I done? I should have also left. But then he was one last stroke of faith. He was closing his eyes and praying. And he didn't know where to go. So many paths are open. Just like we get confused in our life, even in spirituality, What do I do now? Should I take this path, this route, this option, this choice? And then suddenly, when he opened his eyes, because of the heavy snow, all the paths got closed except one path which did not get snow because there was a hill obstructing it, obstructing the snow. And he said, there is no other choice for me, let me go this path. And that path proved to be the correct path, and he ended up getting the treasure and give it back to the spiritual master who helped the king become prosperous and rule the kingdom. So you see, sometimes too many distress will narrow us into one path. We don't have a choice but to take that course. And that is Krishna's mercy. When too many distresses are coming, like in terms of snowfall, that is Krishna's way of clearing our doubts. Now there is no other option. There is only one option. Raise our hands and depend on Krishna. Go take that path. Of course, sometimes it's not as easy as this. Many times in devotional service, our samshaya exists. Even after taking a decision, oh, I should not have taken that decision. I should not have done like this. I should not have said like this. Or as a team, oh, we should have done like this. That was a wrong move on our part, isn't it? Many times we come to that experience. So the question is, then why did Krishna let us do that? If we are following the devotional service, so why did Krishna let us do that? So you see, even Srila Prabhupada's life, he was a pure devotee. Nobody can say he's not. But if you trace back the events in his life, he was about to get a beautiful house, huge property in Jhansi, and he checked out a whole plan how he would spread the Krishna consciousness from that place, make so many devotees. And he had so many huge plans. Everything was going so nice. But then that building was taken away from him. And all his plans got tumbled. Instead, he could have focused on something else that would have been fruitful instead of, so-called wasting his time. But he didn't think like that. He thought Krishna wanted me to utilize this experience in my future endeavor. Whatever his planning would be used for his future endeavor, which is Krishna didn't want him to settle in India. Krishna didn't want him to just be restricted to Indian atmosphere or the Indian region. He wanted to go abroad, form a worldwide operation for which he was training him how to plan, how to face setbacks. He was learning what will happen when he does what. And that helped him in the future. So even when we take a wrong path, or we think it's a wrong path, as long as we are acting under the guidance of Krishna's pure devotee, in the association of devotees, we make choices in the association of devotees, not acting independently. As long as we are in the association, acting in that association, we can never be wrong, even though apparently we think we have done a wrong step. So in my childhood, we used to play this game. So, there are some stones, right? You put some stones in the middle. So two players play the game. So first you pick the stone. You can either pick one or two stones. So the other player also picks one or two stones. So like that, the last player who picks the stone he'll be the loser. So the other player was expert player. I didn't know that. I was playing for the first time. So whatever I picked one stone first. He would pick one or two stones. Then I will calculate, I should do this. But in the end, he was winning. Whatever I picked, one stone, two stones, one stone, two, I was calculating, but he was winning because there is a formula. If I follow the formula, I can also win. But he was following the formula. He knew exactly if I make this move, how he can cover it up with another move so that I end up losing. So it's exactly like that. Krishna is that expert chess master. Whatever move we make, Krishna can cover it up. Krishna can make another move by which we'll be all right. So nobody can deceive Krishna. So in other words, this path is so beautiful. Bhagavatam says, Yanasthaya naro rajan na pramadyeta karhichit dhavan nimilya vanetre naskhalena patediha. So this path of Bhakti Yoga is so beautiful that even if you run with your eyes closed, you won't trip or fall. Like Arjuna asked that question to Krishna. Krishna, sometimes in Krishna consciousness, we take to Krishna consciousness, but because of too much material attractions, we give it up and go back to material path. So then he's like nowhere. He didn't spend learning something material, becoming something proficient materially, or he didn't even become spiritually strong. So didn't he lose both sides? Kachin no bhaya vibhrashtas chinnabhram iva nashyati. Apratishto mahabaho vimudho brahmanah pati. Just like a small cloud, if it separates from a big cloud, but it's in a danger of perishing altogether by strong wind. It has to go attached to a big cloud, otherwise, before it can be perished. So isn't it dangerous? So Krishna said, Pardha naiveha namutra vinashas tasya vidyate. Nahi kalyanakrit kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. O Partha, don't worry about it. One who has taken to Krishna consciousness, there cannot be durgati, even though apparently there may be a setback, or in our own viewing of things, what has happened? No. Durgatim naiva gacchati. There is no durgati for a devotee. Nahi kalyanakrit kaschit durgatim gacchati. It is all auspicious, even though there is a setback. So eventually Krishna will make everything all right. And all the samshaya will be removed. And as Arjuna expressed, nashto mohaha smritir labdha. So we have to have faith that the process of Krishna consciousness, Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kohe Sudrudha Nischay, Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. By engaging in Krishna consciousness, even though in my own terms I may think, oh, what have I taken? It's all good. So coming back to that, the devotee facing that fracture, that materialistic person asking. So this is a process. Krishna is helping me clear up all instead of making me suffer a big accident, he's giving me a token. This is a part of making me beautiful, like a butterfly. Instead of giving me a big pain and dying in the hands of Maya, he's making me go through this so I can become beautiful. But Krishna does not do that for ordinary people. The ordinary people are at the mercy of Maya, have to undergo so many troubles. As much as they say, oh, now see, we are enjoying. No, you are not enjoying. Eventually, Maya will make you go through so many tribulations. It is much, much worse than the so called tribulations undergone by a devotee in Krishna's safe hands. I'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments? Feel free to unmute. Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.